night and good morning to everybody who is joining us. We appreciate you being in here. Don't forget, this is an interactive talk show, so be sure to join us. Somebody's joining us right now. That's okay. So be sure to join in the conversation. Comment whenever I'm asking a question. Please know that it is being asked of everybody, not just of the panelists here. And speaking of the panelists, I'd like to introduce you guys to everyone who is here. We even have some special guests today, but our regular panelists are Lakisha, hello, Alicia, Brandie, Mitra. Our hello. Two guests are Thao and Tanuja. By the way, Thao has like an online magazine kind of thing. It's Macaroni Kid Katy, so it tells all about the different goings on that you can find in the Katy area. And then Tanuja has Love Bites by Tanuja, which are amazing desserts that have absolutely nothing in them but taste really good. That's true. And I'm just going to put this out there right now. When I was in high school, I always wanted to be in a Benetton commercial, and I now finally am. So thank you. So I am very excited about that. Thank you. So again, like I said, today's topic is about breaking cultural stereotypes. And I have to say that in doing some of our research, we actually had some really great conversations about some of the stereotypes that we've got. But before I get into the show, I do want to, I have a new little piece starting with this show, and that is that we actually have a couple of sponsors for our show today. So thank you very much to Alicia for dressing all of us in our fabulous wardrobes that we have today. I feel very glamorous. I was actually excited that I was wearing color. But it's just an FYI, if there is anything that you see on any of the ladies today that you would like that's here from Alicia's place, just put something down in the comments. Tell Alicia, I like this outfit, and she can get that to you. And then we also have another sponsor, which is Suzanne Joffrion with eSBe Designs Jewelry. And so all of us with our very beautiful jewelry is on here. Very nice. We've got our rings, we've got our bracelets and galore. I feel very blingy and glamorous today. And we also want to let you know too that if you go and download the app, this is going into the comments here in just a moment. It'll be copy and pasted down in the comments for you. But download the eSBe Design app, purchase a piece of jewelry, $50 or more, and Suzanne will get you a free bracelet. And that happens until the 30th of this month, so shop soon.
So buy these?
So buy these.
I meant me, but I'm buying these.
Okay, so let's just delve right into the topic. So then because I know like some of us did some research, so what were some of like the stereotypes that you guys found that was different or like unusual or like kind of surprising or funny? Don't everybody jump in.
I think stereotypes in general
just hearing it can be really funny.
Yeah.
Hearing you say what your stereotypes
are
like.
Stereotypes from our culture, right?
That's stereotypes from our culture or whatever. Like I know like when Mitra and I were talking about it or whatever, I felt like an absolute like jerk or dork or something like that, because she was talking about like one of our stereotypes, like the burqas. I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, you guys wear burqas and things like. She's like, no, that's the point, we don't. I'm like, I
hence
totally
the shoulders right now.
Oh my God, you're naked.
I know. It's like, oh, okay, so that's a stereotype that we need to break.
Yeah, I think I learned a lot from our conversation alone about the stereotypes, and I think each of us gave an account of our personal experience, because some of the stereotypes you said, I never saw it from my angle, but when you said it, I could see now, like, okay, this is making more sense, why people might be a little bit defensive at times and things of that nature. So, yeah, I mean, stereotypes can, it could be funny. We could use humor as our common bond to break those boundaries. But once you cross that humorous side, then I think that's when it starts becoming hateful, and it creates more distance.
The thing about stereotypes, there's always like an essence of truth behind them. There's a little bit of it, but when it goes overboard or when it goes to a very nasty, ugly place, that's when it's not so funny anymore. But it's kind of fun I make fun of myself all the time.
Sure.
Yeah. They say
makes us
Mexicans,
humble.
are nannies, and my kids are mixed, so they don't look very brown. So like they would always ask me when I would take my kids out to the park, "Are you the nanny?" And I just laughed because I thought, "Oh, that's hilarious." Because my kids are much more lighter, like their dad. But it's funny, and I laugh about it because that, it's just funny and it's fun, and my kids think it's funny too. So.
Have y'all felt like stereotypes change over time?
I think so, especially being the first generation born and raised in this country. I definitely see a change in our stereotypes anyway. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what stereotypes are anymore because it feels like the lines have blurred so much, right? I mean, I guess I know what it is for my parents' generation. I don't know what people think of me, though. I mean, sometimes people will say, like, they call us Gandhi or whatever. I'm like...
And that's a compliment.
I don't understand. He's a great man. Like, I was confused by that. But then I learned, like, as I got older, that was derogatory.
That's when you do what Alicia did. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think growing up for me, I when you were talking about growing up and how things change, I remember in school, they used to ask me if I was communist, and because of the Vietnam War, and I'm like, I don't think so. I'm from the South, so I'm from South Vietnam. So, but as I've gotten older and become more Americanized, there's a stereotype for FOB. We were talking about fresh off the boat versus Vietnamese American, and that's what I consider. So, but some of them still tag along with you, like, are you a bad driver, and do you wear flip-flops everywhere? Well, yes, I do.
And she did come late today.
I know.
She drove here.
I came late. Well, I was told to drive like a white woman, and I did. So then she arrived on time. But I laugh now, because nobody wants, I like it because now nobody wants me to drive anywhere, so I get chauffeured everywhere.
Nice.
I'm okay with that.
That's an okay stereotype.
I know, because, at the end of the day, I'm like, did you die? So, you made it here. You're cool. You're okay.
Cool. Well, see, that's one of the things, too, that I was just kind of wondering about is that, like, like you brought it to, is like, do stereotypes change over time? And what stereotypes kind of stick? Like, it doesn't matter what culture you're talking about. It seems to, like, there always is that same... like stereotype for everybody. So like for me, it was like, I'm like, okay, so what ones are kind of like universal? And a lot of them for me kind of like stuck with like women stereotype. Like it's the whole like, shh, you're quiet, you're in the background, that kind of thing. Like that seems to be like everybody's like role for women to be or whatever, like no matter what culture it was. But what are some of the stereotypes that are there? Like we got the nanny one, but like what are some of the stereotypes that are there? It's like, because you said, like some of them have some truth to it, but like what are some that are like funny, and they're funny because there's absolutely like zero truth to it at all?
Oh my God.
Okay.
We all have one.
All African American women have attitudes. Like we don't all have attitudes, right?
Girl, no.
Some of us are really super positive and we don't have attitudes. I think a lot it's the cultural difference, I think it is. And it's that a lot of times, and it's in every culture, you don't know like what a person's been through. You don't know, their background, how they were raised, right? So you automatically see this person and you think that they're angry or mad about something. And that's really not the case. Sometimes they could be the nicest person, but maybe because they've had maybe like a bad day or you had one bad experience with them, we are quick to label like, oh yeah, she's an angry black woman. And it's really just not the case. Get to know us. We're really great people.
Yes, I agree. Or that Mexicans are lazy, that sort of thing.
Oh,
or,
yeah.
they always...
The opposite. They do all the work.
And that's what I was going to say. It's like, there were always like these depictions of old photographs where they would have the Mexican guy with his hat.
Oh, the big sombrero.
Yeah, with the big sombrero, just taking a
legs
siesta.
propped up.
It's not even, it doesn't happen in this part of the world. It happens in Spain, more of a European thing, but that's the one that I'm like, that really bothers me. I mean, that one gets to me.
Well, it
I
was
don't
because
think
they were
it's
taking a
at all.
siesta because they were working so
Working
hard.
hard.
I mean, like,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see here. Eva's commented in here. So stereotypes will change and be broken down, put in a good place once we really start mixing and talking to each other. Exactly. That's a future we need to strive for. And by the way, she says hi. So hi, Eva.
Yeah,
Hi, yay.
Eva is like the quintessential breakthrough of stereotypes. She represents Polish culture, British culture, and she's always diversifying her friends.
Awesome.
So yeah, I think that's the point that we need to get across, is that the only way to get through stereotypes is by having access to the facts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
The educational reality.
Yes.
One of the stereotypes I grew up with is camels. Yeah, like we get everywhere with camels. Camels.
Elephants. Too.
Elephants.
And now we eat dog.
And I came here when when I was 4, so it's not so. I couldn't really defend myself, and I was just like, okay, maybe I don't know, because I would see depictions of camels and Arabs and Middle East, and there we go. You have the whole geographical area, depicted with camels. And until I went to Iran after 10 years of being here. Dude, there are so many donkeys in there. There are so many donkeys, donkeys and Persian cats. There's no camels. Only for, at the circus or something like that. Right. So it wasn't until I actually traveled to know, what I need to stand for.
Right.
So
absolutely. Getting out of your little box is very important.
Absolutely.
To see where
Right.
Kind Radio, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you. I'm glad you liked the conversation. And Fabi, say hello.
So I wanted to piggyback off of something you were saying that makes you mad. I have one that kind of frustrates me, and that's white kids are privileged. Everything's handed to them. And because I kind of had a hard knock life. So when I was 18, I was working, everything I've had to do for myself. And people were like, oh, you don't look like that. You look, that frustrates me that, that white people have that, you're entitled, in fact, that does irritate me a lot. But I had to really work to where I gotten, and nothing was handed to me on a silver platter. So that really frustrates me a lot when people meet me and they're like, oh, you look so I thought you were a snob.
Nice.
Yeah, someone told me that the other day. I was looking at your pictures on Facebook, and I thought you were a snob. And I was like, thanks for getting to know me.
That's when you pull Alicia's. Thank you.
And so, that one bothers me. That makes me a little angry. Get to know me.
Awesome. Real quick, I wanted to point something out real quick because we have people commenting. Brandie, you want to tell them about what your offer is?
I have a lip gloss giveaway, Fabi, and if you want to give it to someone else, you can. So by commenting below, you have a chance of winning one of my free lip glosses. So comment below, and you were entered to win a lip gloss.
Awesome. So when you guys were talking about donkeys and elephants and stuff like that, so because for me it was kind of hard because I was like, I could pick out stereotypes for everybody else, but I was like, I don't know what the white stereotypes are. But I know when I moved around a lot, I was an Air Force brat, and so I know that when I was born in Texas, and so when I ended up living in Ohio, the thing that I got asked a lot was, do you have cows? And do you actually have
Texas.
Grass? And do you ride a horse to school? Yes. Yeah. And it was just kind of like, yes, we have grass.
It was just a desert. It's weird.
I know. It's very weird. So I'm just wondering if, then within your own culture, do you have the stereotypes for different areas within?
Oh yeah. So northern India. They're more they're more light skinned, they're more fair skinned, and they like to own hotels. I won't name any particular last names. They own hotels. They're business people and stuff like that. South India is more that's where I'm from, darkish skinned, more the doctors, engineers, more professionals, if you will, I guess professionals is the best word. But and I remember seeing this. I can't remember what the show's called, but it's the show of all Indians on, I think, Netflix or something. And it's a business, and they're trying to hire somebody for an engineering role, and they're like, make sure you pick a South Indian. They know how to work hard. So
that's a good one. Yeah. Regional, of course.
Yeah.
I have a funny one. Oh, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, you said regional, but it's really important. These borders sometimes have a very heavy political strife with it. I've mistaken the Slavic language oftentimes with, I'm sorry, I apologize, Russian language, and it's painful and hurtful because there was a war with the neighboring countries, so it's really important, like I said, to travel. Even if we don't have the means to travel, there's Rick Steves, Rick Steves is amazing, National Geographic, these are educational, they're not biased, they're not trying to sell you on one country over the other, and it helps to, kind of attenuate the fear and the block that we have.
The other suggestion I would make is to open yourself to speaking to someone who's from a different culture.
Absolutely.
And different language, and
Absolutely.
ask them, I've heard this about. Most of the time when you come with authenticity and genuine questions, they're really open about it.
Break down the
I think that's a
What
great
were you
way.
Yeah.
gonna say, Brandie?
I was going to talk about some funny ones, like the whole white girls can't dance.
Can you dance?
Are you going to
I
tell us some
are you
news?
gonna show up? Not now. But that's a funny story. So, like, when I was younger, that really bothered me. I used to be in my garage practicing, and then I was on the dance team in high school. I still don't think I was any good. Now I can dance. The other night, I was downtown, I was dancing, and then I was crossing the Segway. I almost tripped because there was a rope, and someone goes, "Are you okay?" And then I heard the party go, "Yeah, but she can dance." And I was like, woohoo!
Awesome.
Yes, accomplished.
So, Lori, Perry, Iris, I love your name, Marvelously Millie. That's awesome. Hi, thanks so much for joining us today. I appreciate that. So, yeah, I was going to say, I mean, that, to me, when we first brought up the topic of, like, having this as a topic for the show, I have to say I was very nervous.
Why?
Are you kidding me? Because I was like, we're going to be talking about, like stereotypes and, like, you know, what if I offend somebody
Right,
by
right.
sharing
These are the
by
conversations
sharing
we need to
exactly.
have.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I really appreciate the fact that we're doing that we're
I'm
doing
not
this,
easily
that I'm with.
offended.
Yeah, neither
I
am
joke it off because it is
Yeah.
about educating people.
Yeah.
You know, like the other day, nothing against one particular Beaver store when you travel far places.
I was like, what?
But where are we going with Buc-ee's? But I went into Buc-ee's
I
and
went
this
another direction.
this gentleman. Oh no, that's not me. Kama Sutra. No, I went into Buc-ee's and they were sampling coleslaw, and I was grabbing a sample, and the gentleman, older white guy, he's like, "Do you know what that is?" Like really condescending. I said, "Yes, sir. I've lived in Texas a long time. I know what coleslaw is." So he gave me a look, but it's one of those, don't assume everybody is ignorant or is fresh to this country.
Yeah.
You know, talk to everybody like they're human.
Right.
So
Right.
it's all it is talk to people with respect and like they're human.
If you all don't know Thao by now, she's full of humor, and and I think that's a key element in breaking these boundaries with fear. You know,
Yeah.
there was several comedians. They called themselves Axis of Evil. This was after President Bush Jr. had said, that there's certain axes of evil.
Yeah.
So they created this whole like comedy tour based on the axis of evil. It was like a Jordanian, it was an Iranian, it was a Jew, so and that's how they were able to create, start that conversation, because a lot of people that have fear, they're not going to have a serious conversation.
Right. Yeah.
But with humor, it's kind of like the common thread. We can kind of we all can laugh,
Yeah,
right? So
totally.
we can laugh together.
Absolutely. All right, so Fabian popped in here. He said, take it from me, 20 years ago when I first met Brandie. Wow, you're old. He says, I was not as wise as I am now. I can admit, as a teenage kid, I let my environment affect my attitude. Wait, where'd it go? Sorry, Fabian. Facebook just updated and apparently
Fabian just deleted it.
I know. I'm like, he's like, wait, I didn't want people to see that.
He's going to change it to 10 years ago.
Well, I read it, and thank
But yes,
you.
I was gonna say, our tech guy, which by the way, thank you to Mike Meade, huge help every time we ever do an episode. He's always our tech guy. Okay, so my environment affect my attitude and assumptions with stereotypes and placed her in a certain fear. As time went on and I got to know her, she proved that you really don't judge a book by its cover. She's been a very amazingly accomplished woman that I'm honored to say I know.
Look, 2 likes. That's great. I know. See, that's what I was talking about. Thank you.
Exactly. And I think that I know that I have to say that when I was a teenager, oh, good Lord. I mean, the things that, you fall into when you're around certain people. And that's why I think it's really important that we start surrounding our kids, making sure that who we're surrounding our kids with has got a diverse kind of attitude, because again, that's what you're picking up. That's what you know. That's what you think. And so that's what you're then going on. And I think that then a lot of times is what is perpetuating a lot of the stereotypes that seem to keep going on and on and on and on. Okay, so is this This is for you, Mitra.
Nachos?
Yeah, you ladies look great. Thank you. That's because of Alicia and Suzanne that we look so fabulous. I said, can you tell us some more about your trip? What were some of your favorite memories?
Well, my first trip to Iran was exactly 10 years after I we immigrated here from Iran. This was post-revolution, so there's still a lot of, things going on with Iran at the time, and the relationship with America, of course. And the thing for me was, I had seen Not Without My Daughter. I don't know if you've seen that. And that kind of set the tone for me. I was terrified, but I wanted to see my family so bad that I was like willing to just go, So I wore the hijab, and okay, so you have to know that Iran is an Islamic republic. So in the streets, in the public, you have to cover up. No matter if you're Jewish, Christian, whatever, inside the house, it's a different culture, but outside you have to cover up. And out of respect, I don't mind, because if a Muslim man that's very devoted sees, me exposed, it might be offensive to him. Right. So, I didn't mind that, but I really covered up. I mean, it was just like this, and, and we have different levels of covering in Iran. The general standard is just the, like a scarf around the head and just like a raincoat kind of thing. And then if you're really pious, you wear a chador, and the chador is just one sheet that goes over. So burqas are actually only worn in Afghanistan, and they're the ones that have the kind of caged mesh. And not every Afghan woman wants to wear a burqa. Right. So that whole comment about Iranians having burqas, invalid. And then all Arab women, all Muslim women wanting to wear burqas, invalid, because there are some really stylish Muslim hijab-wearing women that I'm like, wow, I want to be Muslim. So, going to Iran and actually seeing that it's not as terrifying as that movie made it for me was just groundbreaking. So, again, travel, people, travel.
I think adding on that is they assume a lot of people from Iran or from the Middle East are automatically Muslim, and a lot of people don't realize that it's also very Christian. There's a big
very
Jewish community.
much, yeah.
So that's another stereotype that people always sort of make when they don't have the education.
And then with that word latches on a more pejorative meaning terrorist.
Exactly.
So can you imagine being like Jewish Arab, and being called a terrorist, when you have terrorism against your Jewish people, So it's not fair to a whole society, so. Okay,
so I have a question.
Yes.
I'm going to show how ignorant I am. Okay, so I know the burqa is with the screen. I have no idea, because I've seen a variety then of different kind of headdresses. And so what is the difference between, like, is everything else called a hijab, or like what is, so like no matter how much is covered, if it's just around the hair, or if it's like I've seen longer, is that all?
Right. I mean, without getting too religious, and I haven't read any holy books, but I know, I think I know, and I think I understand that holy books are very poetic. So if you take it for the literal meaning, you can almost become an extremist. So the word hijab means to be modest, to be, to respect your body as a female, to just not be a representative of a sex symbol. Because back in the day, that's what women were perceived as. So Islam comes and tries to protect women by covering them.
Gotcha.
That was the idea, but now how humanity takes it by oppression and all this and that's a whole different story. So a hijab technically just means covering up modestly. So that could mean long sleeve shirt, that could mean tight veil.
Every woman does it differently, right?
Yeah, and I mean, and I don't know what it is about the hair, but you see that in Orthodox Jewish religion. You see that in Hinduism. Sometimes you see that in other cultures too. So something sexy about the hair. I don't know.
Let's see here. Anna said hi. Hi, Anna. Hi, Amanda. And then Eva. Is it
Eva?
Eva. Okay. We're all unique snowflakes that eventually melt together. Read books, go to museums, educate, and yes, make an effort to talk to people who don't sound and look like you. Exactly. Yes. My parents threw a brilliant series at me, a book for each of the main religious holidays. Oh, that's very cool. Oh. Very cool. The Mashup of Americans. So is that the Mashup Americans? Is that the series, Eva? That would be very cool to know.
We could do a class here on that.
Maybe it's a book or cool. And I think that I think that there are a lot of people who want to ask questions about stereotypes and things like that. But I think it is like you talked about earlier. It's like it's that fears. Like, okay, am I
It's
going to
all fear.
offend somebody if I act
Right.
like, because again, I'm like, somebody else is coming in and watching this, and I'm asking you, like, what are her jobs? You know, I mean, it's kind of like, is somebody going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And yes, I am the typical American person who does not know anything about any other culture. I mean, I'm just gonna yes,
and that's
I'm,
okay.
You know,
and that's
exactly.
okay.
I'm like, but again,
But if you allow that to block you from
Exactly.
communicating, so you're allowing the fear to create separation, and that's what fear
Absolutely.
does.
absolutely.
So, you know.
I'll make a comment here. So I read or heard somewhere that 99.99% of all of our DNA is the same.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Right?
Yep.
So 0.01% is what's
It's
making
making
us
us
different.
different.
So literally
Such
we're
a
all,
small percentage.
we're all the same.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think it's so cool.
Yeah.
Let's see here. You might need to hit see more so that way I can read Fabian's thing. Thank you. So in regards to stereotypes, I think unfortunately, historically speaking, I hope not, but they have been around forever and might be with us for a while. I absolutely agree. I think to really pave the way for positive change, it has to start at home with two good party parenting. Absolutely. Teach love and respect to all. We can't leave it up to society or the media to be the ones to continue to sculpt future minds with dated, prejudicial notations, because the cycle will never end. Amen.
Perfect point.
Amen.
And Eva mentioned that it's a podcast, so.
Oh, it's a podcast.
yeah.
Awesome. Very cool. So yeah, I definitely agree with Fabian.
I have a comment on that actually. It came up when you were saying something about, introducing our kids to other kids of other cultures and stuff like that. I don't know how it is with you guys, but for
Did she just call us guys?
you ladies,
Is that a cultural stereotype?
I see you.
Her almond-shaped eye, I see you.
but our parents always, they never obviously prevented us from hanging out with other people. I had like tons of friends, but my friends, I will say, were predominantly Indian and Asian. And literally, I think it's just because we were like the smart kids, and it made, we were all in the same classes and stuff, right? And our parents never said anything about us hanging out with them, because you're surrounded by people who are equally at your level intelligence-wise and whatever, so they want you to grow in that way.
Did you speak the same language? Maybe that was...
As what? As the friends?
Yeah.
No, but they were like Indian Asians. Like, it didn't matter. Filipinos, Korean, whatever. It didn't matter. Like, as long as we were all in the same pool of getting A+.
Because sometimes,
that's all that
but sometimes
Both
Indians
kids.
inside of Indian sub-enclaves, will be together because of the language barrier. So
that wasn't me exactly. We had our group of I'm Telugu, so we had our group of Telugu speaking folks that we got together with on the weekends and stuff, like parties and everything. I never really started hanging out with them more socially on my own until more recently. Sorry. But growing up, there were so few Indian kids in school to begin with that we would just all cluster together. And there are cultural norms that, we talked about the shoe thing, right? White people wear shoes everywhere? What? I don't understand that. But yeah, we take off our shoes and it's understood. So whenever somebody comes over to our house, if Thao were to come over to my house, she would know she is supposed to take
Leave them at the
you
front
don't
door
have to feel
in a
awkward
pile.
asking her. Yeah.
But my stepmom has a sign in front of the door. And that, for all my friends that are not Iranian.
It brings up another interesting topic of marriage, right? You said stepmom. So, obviously in our culture, arranged marriages, I'm sure in yours too, right? Is it a common thing, arranged marriage?
That's a stereotype.
Oh, okay. Well,
because we don't have arranged marriages.
Really? I thought Muslims were like... Oh, you're not Muslim.
Okay, another stereotype right there.
They're not all Muslim.
We're not all Muslim.
No, that's not what I meant. I thought because of your last name.
No, we have arranged marriages, but it's so, it's not common at all.
Okay.
These are remote villages, and again, it's out of necessity and need. They want to marry off the girl soon, and we don't have too much of that. Okay. Yeah. So
it's very common for us.
But there is now. Let me shoot another stereotype back at you. Because I saw this theatrical play performance done. It was about women that are widowed can't marry again in the Indian culture. Is that true?
That was true back in I I think, ancient days.
Okay,
I don't know
okay.
that it's, I mean, some people still follow it.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know that it's, and it depends if you're talking about Hindu culture or if you're talking about Indian culture, because they're two different things, right? So there is this idea of, I mean, there's a story of Sati in the Hindu culture where you hear her, once her husband dies, she throws herself on the fire.
Oh, wow.
And she no longer exists without her husband, essentially. I haven't seen that. Not even just the burning thing, but like obviously not getting married again. I haven't really seen that. I see a lot of people remarry. Stuff like that happens. I mean, it's life, and especially if you're young, you don't want to be alone for the rest of your life.
But it's a culture also filled with superstition, so there's a lot of reasons why a lot of it is like the way it is.
Yeah.
And arranged marriages for us is a little bit of a different definition. For us, it's like the family seeks, someone that's single, available, and the, bride's family seeks future bride seeks a prospect or whatever, and they can join if they like each other.
Yeah,
then
that's
it's
how
not
it is.
forced at all.
Yeah.
And in a way, I kept on asking my parents when I was single. I was like, why aren't y'all searching? This is getting so hard for me. This dating business is so hard.
That's true. Nowadays, it's so hard. You're like, I want an arranged marriage.
Yeah. And my parents are so progressive, and they're like, no, we want you to marry from love. And I'm like, really? I'm so tired right now. just find someone.
Okay, so we've got Laura who said, yes, Laura, this will be available later. You can't wait to see it all. You can come back and watch it here. It'll be staying up on the Nerdy Girl page. And then Heather, hijab is a beautiful thing when worn with sincerity and not forced. My niece is the most beautiful, devout Muslim and is an example of modesty and good deeds. I'll continue to teach my daughters the same in regards to the beautiful meanings behind different cultures and to have respect. Thank you all, Helia and Helia. See, because I'm afraid I'm going to...
So what's your actual name? And why do you have two?
It's Helia. Okay. Mitra is the author name.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
Her pseudonym. So thank you for educating us further. So yes, well, thanks, Heather, for joining in. I appreciate it. Most families, if the parents approve, then the marriage is allowed in Iranian... Am I saying that right? Culture.
Iranian. You put your ear on.
Nice. There we go. Iranian culture, then marriage is allowed. With my experience and my... Okay, so tell me that.
Hamsada means my soulmate.
Oh,
yeah, she's in love.
That's
good. She was not forced.
Tara joins us every month, y'all.
Hi, Tara. That's awesome.
I will say that we were talking about family and continuing to teach our children our own culture. I feel that I failed because growing up, my mom really told me, stay away from Asian men, stay away from Vietnamese men because you don't want to marry somebody like your father. And so growing up, it was all Americanized, everything. And now with my family, my grandfather recently passed away, and it was a very traditional Buddhist ceremony, and I knew nothing of the culture. And of course, my children attended it, and I didn't know what to tell them. So I feel I'm saddened by the fact that I don't have our traditional culture to pass down to my children, because my cousins even asked, do your children speak Vietnamese? And I said, other than when we go out to eat and we eat pho, that's all they know how to order. And I feel
most Americans know that word,
right?
So let me ask you. I was going to say, let me ask you this, because you're talking about bringing up your kids, and so this is a place where I wonder where, with breaking cultural stereotypes, if there's ever a difficulty. Because there's the cultural stereotype, there's teaching your culture, but within every culture, there are some things that are, I don't know, outdated or whatever, but where we need to break the cultural stereotype of the way that women are seen. And so I'm just wondering, then, do you find yourselves butting up against things when you're trying to teach your kids about your culture, and yet what parts are good and okay too, and then what other parts are like, yeah, we really need to stop that, that kind of thing. So I'm just wondering,
I see it from a child's perspective because I don't have children, but I see it from the way my mom, I'm dating. And that's obviously like very new for them too. They had an arranged marriage, so this dating thing is hard. But I don't trust my parents to pick someone for me.
It's okay, they probably feel the same way about you, so it's okay.
But yeah, my mom, like I was telling you earlier, my mom's like, when I go out on dates and stuff, she's like, try not to be too much yourself and try not to laugh too loud. I'm like, really? Like, I mean, I mean, she's obviously like funny, and I know she like loves me the way I am and stuff. But she's afraid that like
your husband won't.
Well, I mean, she's afraid that my like boldness and my almost like
it's counterculture.
I guess my dominance or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like scaring guys off, and that honestly doesn't surprise me so much if that's the case, because a lot of people can't take a lot of my. They can't take confidence.
Woman.
Yeah, exactly.
My dad said the same thing to me. He goes, he said you're going to have to find yourself somebody who's outside of your culture to put up with you because you're loud, you're obnoxious, you're opinionated.
No offense to other cultures.
And he said, he said it specifically, the white guys enjoy a woman who's very strong in your culture, and he comes from that,
Oh, wow.
He's like, they're not going to really appreciate you the way who you are, authentically you. Because I was the firstborn, and I was very opinionated. I've always been very, headstrong. Yeah. I mean,
that's an opinion.
Super headstrong, always knew what I wanted, and very serious about it. So he recommended I get out of my little circle and go outside. And that's what I married. I married somebody outside of my
But that's what I love about the U.S. So, it's the immigrant advantage. It's the advantage that we want to, convey to others.
Yeah.
Because it's cafeteria culture here, There's so many certain aspects of Iranian culture that I absolutely adore, that I wanted to go live there with the whole, like, oppression out in the public and all. I didn't mind because it was worth it, this certain elements. And then there's other parts of my culture that I could so do away with. And I have that opportunity here in the States to pick and choose and say, okay, my niece and nephews are half Iranian, half Black American, and I get to choose and tell them, okay, these parts of Black culture, I really want you to keep going, and these parts of Iranian culture, I really want you to keep going. So no other place in the world you can actually do that. I would say,
that's
right?
Yeah.
Maybe
I love this place.
Europe. Yeah, me too.
I haven't been back to India in 17 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a long time. It's not because it is because I hate it, but it's literally just because I think it's dirty. That's it.
Okay, that's a stereotype.
I've been there. It's dirty. The streets are full of trash. I don't like it.
I've been there. It's true.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think that's a stereotype. It's just dirty. It's
That's
not
fact.
the same as here. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we're just about out of time. What I wanted to give everybody an opportunity to do here with the ladies is that if you've got something that's going on here within the next month before our next show, if you want to go ahead and share it, I know that is also something, too, that will be put down into the comments as well. So, Thao, do you have anything going on?
I'm participating in All About Katy's Summerfest this Saturday, so you can go to All About Katy's Facebook page and get the information for the times and the location this Saturday.
Okay.
Menil Indie Book Festival happening May 6th, and I'll have a booth there with my books and T-shirts and all that good stuff. Definitely support local authors and indie authors.
Very cool.
So I'm the resident artist here at the boutique, and right now we're focusing on prom bookings. So feel free to call here and set an appointment with us.
Awesome. Alicia?
Yeah, so prom is coming up, so we want to be able to, Brandie and I are going to collaborate with styling, and Mitra's going to help us as well. I also want to promote a Mother's Day gift box that we're doing for a promotion, and it's got a really yummy organic skincare. So you're going to really love it.
I don't have anything in particular to promote, just my desserts. They are dairy-free, grain-free, gluten-free, free of all white processed sugar, high-protein, low-carb, paleo-friendly, diabetic-friendly, soy-free, corn-free, non-GMO, and everything can be made vegan. So you can just visit my website to see what I have to offer, to lovebitesbytanuja.com.
That's the best elevator pitch I've ever heard.
Can I just say that I made her brownies, and they are so moist. So I'm just saying they're very good.
They still taste like pretty much like
They're
the
good.
real thing.
They're good.
Yeah.
Good.
Lakisha, what you got going on?
I'll be doing an interview series starting the first week in May, so I'm going to be interviewing a bunch of hot entrepreneurs that are out on the online market, so look out for that.
Cool.
Awesome. And where can they catch that?
Where?
Well, yes.
Oh, you can actually catch that on my business page at LakishaSarbah.com on Facebook. So it's going to be a Facebook Live interview. We'll be side by side Facebook interview.
Awesome. Very cool. And I wanted to let you guys know that you can actually sign up to catch information about upcoming episodes, as well as having opportunities to get your business spotlighted here on the Define Her Story show. And you can do that by visiting bit.ly/ DH Talk Show. So that is bit.ly/DH Talk Show. It's all lowercase, and again, that's going to be popping into the comments here very shortly. So thank you so much, ladies. This is amazing. I want you guys, too, to be watching out. We're going to be taking pictures of all the outfits and jewelry that we have on and be posting and tagging everyone in that so that way you can see those. Thank you so much. Y'all have a great day. Bye.
Bye.